Another way of doing this is actually using the application, which can be sent by a text message. And we will show you how to do this and use the detail in this message right here so that we can connect with the website and download the application on this mobile phone. This is another way of doing it. It'll download it, it will accept it, and you will see it'll just take a minute or two to download the application. Again, it's on a feature phone or one of these cheap phones. We'll have to keep on waking this up for the battery life, which is being saved right here. So it's downloading it now from the internet, which is just going to take a minute or two depending upon the connection strength. Maybe not even a minute, but again, this can be used on any of the cheap feature phones, non-smartphones. It can also be used on smartphones too that have touch screens or anything like this. It can be used in Java phones, it could be used on Android phones, it could be used on an iPhone, it could be used on Windows phones, and it's probably supported by 300 or 400 or so different types of phones on several networks and in Europe. Okay, so it's now opening the application. This is already an application that I've attached to my account. So here is the first screen, and I am going to put in my code right here. Next, and it's now going to verify that I am in fact the user of that account, and then it will download there we go, that's my account number. It is now done, and it's going now to download and configure some of the icons that go on this feature phone desktop, as we would call it. What it's doing right now is verifying and the program and the different types of functions that we have, whether it is blood glucose submission or whether it's nutrition or education, a variety of different things. And again, it's just a different way of looking at it from the text messaging that we've shown you before. Alright, so here are some of the icons that are in my program, and let me just, it is just looking now for some of my information, and there we go. So I'm going to go back. So here we have on the very first icon, it says submit blood glucose. It's a picture of a meter. The next one, as you can see, it says view BG or blood glucose trends. The next one we have my exercise coach to be able to measure steps. As it turns out, many of these small little phones or feature phones have pedometers built in them so that you can measure people's activities. This one just happens to have a weight coach because that's in my program. We have a heart health coach. And then here's a button which is an on-call. If there's an emergency, it will then directly connect with the providers. And then there's various settings. Let me just show you how this works on submitting a blood glucose. It's now going to access our record, or my record. And it's going to bring up a series. It says enter your blood glucose. So I'm going to do 125. That's going to be fine. 125, and I just press next, and then it'll ask me whether I'm about ready to eat or not eat, and I'm saying I'm just going to go down here that I'm not going to eat. Oops, I mispressed that, but so it's going to eat. I'm going to put 35 grams of carbohydrate as my meal. It's an awful lot, but options, next. Then I'll say how I'm feeling, because that's important, because if we're not feeling very well and the blood glucose is high, that actually triggers an alert, but I'm feeling just fine right now. And then we've collected the necessary information so that gets submitted right into the record. And as it's been shown before, it'll go directly into the record, but it'll also provide a graph right here that will show you where you are. The red is, of course, the danger zones, the green are the target areas, and the orange, of course, are the areas which are of caution. This just shows what it looks like over the last couple of days in terms of a graph. 145, you can see 115, and it gives you sort of the trend. So I'm done. I can look at the trends on this as well over the last, let's say, 30 days. So I'll just press that. It'll gather the data back, and I'm going to look at the glucose trends over the last, let's say, 30 days. And I can do it for breakfast, lunch, dinner. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to go back right here, and I'm going to do it for, let's say, breakfast. Let's see what my trends look like for breakfast area. Whoops. And then I'm going to go next. It again is now accessing the data on the database. Quite simple. And it is going now to draw on a graph right here. You can see from the last 30 days, Sunday to Sunday, what the trends look like, the highest being at 130. And it'll just tell me, you know, various info, and you can scoot around to that. So that sort of gives you an idea of the various types of patterns, and you can take a look at the community and how we're doing versus the community. I will see how I'm doing relative to my community, shown here in just a moment. And let's see. There we go, right there. It looks like at one point over the last period, we had a huge spike. The orange right there is the rest of the community. That was just probably an add data point that we entered in as well. So that sort of gives you an idea of the various types of functions that can be done using the mobile app on many different phones.